Welcome to Lazov. Hope you're excited. As far as our opening hand goes, yeah, I love it. We've got Mana Crypt, we've got Soul Ring, we have Martial Arts. So we only have one blue source, but hopefully with Looter, that will definitely allow us to get some really good card advantage going. We won't have to worry about that secondary black source or colored source. Let's go lead off with Marsh Flats. Let's go and get down a Soul Ring. That is just... that's going to be really nice. Do we want to hold on to Mana Crypt? We don't need it right now that bad. And I don't want to make our opponent scoop, but I kind of want to just slam it down and be like, hey, check this out. You want to see something neat? Yeah, let's go and go for it. Why not? All right, so let's go and get down Soul Ring. Let's go and get down Mana Crypt. We're going to get down Sword of Fire and Ice. And that also allow us to kind of get down Sword of Fire and Ice onto Looter, which will allow us to get some pretty good card advantage going. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. It's like we're playing vintage. This feels good. Sure, our opponent's thrilled. And this is one of those you just pass the turn and... okay. I don't blame him. If you're gonna go, if you're just gonna go, if our opponent's just gonna go planes and then pass the turn, why would you want to play that game? Anyway, good game. So you can see Lazov, how overpowered Lazov can be on the play. We're gonna win on the turn, and then we don't really have to do anything other than just Lazov stares him down. So if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to another installment of Magic After Dark. We are joined by our co-host Nekusar. Nekusar, how you doing, man? You doing all right? Hey, did you have a good Halloween? I know you bought a lot of candy to hand out. Wait, what did you say? You want to see the world burn one card draw at a time? Well, you know what? Me too, buddy. Let's do this. Welcome to Magic After Dark. Hope you're excited. We got Mimeoplasm on the show tonight. He's going to be... can you imagine Mimeoplasm sitting in a Tonight Show chair? As far as opening hand goes, yeah, I like this. I think we'll keep on this. We've got Talran, Impulse. I like this. We will keep on this one, and this should be a pretty flavorful matchup. Mimeoplasm versus Nekusar. That's always some really good stuff. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have to mulligan past 5 or not, and then we'll give some pretty good card advantage and go from there. So opponents on the play, we're going to let them get this started. But yes, welcome to the show. We have our co-host tonight. This is going to be Nekusar. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Then whenever an opponent draws a card, Nekusar deals 1 damage to that player. Let's go and get down Marsh Flats. And, you know, we're going to crack on Marsh Flats and grab a dual source. Let's go and get this popped out. Definitely need to grab something blue. So let's go and grab Watery Grave, have that come into play tapped. Not going to pay 2 life, and then we will go ahead and pass this turn to our opponent. We are playing against the Mimeoplasm. As the Mimeoplasm enters the battlefield, you may exile 2 creature cards from graveyards. If you do, it enters the battlefield as a copy of one of the cards. Then equal to number of additional +1 counters on it, equal to the power of the other card. So let's see if we can't give our opponent some lands. Let's go and get down Flooded Strand, and we're going to crack Flooded Strand. Let's grab a red source, and then we'll go for Winds of Change. Let's see if this might help them out just a little bit. We could go from Impulse, but we'll see if they can't get a little bit better. They get a few more lands on their hand to make down. I don't know. Want to make this kind of a little bit of a fair match. That's kind of the funness of playing Nekusar. So, but yes, we did cover both commanders, so it is free time. We can talk about whatever we want. Now, as far as Nekusar goes, so I know it's Nekusar. When I originally started playing Magic, he was like the second commander that I built, and for some reason in my head, I just referred to him as Nekusar. And so that's just kind of how it's always stuck. It feels weird to say it any other way. Let's go and get down, do we need to get down Ancient Tomb to get down Fate Unraveler? I think I like that. Let's get down Ancient Tomb, let's get down Fate Unraveler. It's going to be black. It's going to be 1, 2. And then we'll decide what we're going to go for off of Mystical Tutor. One of the things that this deck really loves is some sort of acceleration off of some sort of wheel effect. So by getting down Fate Unravel, that's going to allow us to kind of amplify that card draw. And with Raider's Wake, whenever they discard a card, that's going to make them lose 2 life. That's a wonderful way for us to kind of help us close the game out. Is by, you know, going for something like Wheel of Fortune, getting that extra 2 damage. Just makes for a wonderful time. All right, opponent's going to go for Hostage Taker on our Fate Unraveler. Hostage Taker took him off the show. Let's go and get down Command Tower. We could go for Geist Blast on the Druid if we wanted to. Or, you know, let's just go and get down Nekusar. I think that sounds like a pretty good deal. It's going to be blue, let's go red, let's go black, and it's going to be double off of Ancient Tomb. Get on Nekusar, get that card draw going, and then we'll decide what we're going to go for off of Raider's Wake. We can get down Raider's Wake next turn. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and still leave up Mystical Tutor. So that will allow us to kind of go for some sort of wheel effect with Mystical Tutor, putting that on top of our library, especially with us cashing an extra card draw. Now, we do have Geist Blast in the hand, so if we can sequence it to where we can, you know, use Geist Blast for a little bit of removal and then exile it out of the graveyard. Geist Blast is one of those cards that got printed, and I was just like, I love this card. This is pretty much exactly what we want to see. And so we do have Go for the Throat, so we can stop the Fate Unraveler. In fact, let's go ahead and go for that. Whenever opponent draws a card, yeah, we want to get rid of Fate Unraveler. They can make it a copy of Mimeoplasm if they want to, but I think we're okay with that. Actually, let's see what we draw into. Let's see. Yeah, because they're going to get the Fate Unraveler trigger. We draw a Bloodstained Mire. Okay, that's going to be one more damage from our Fate Unraveler. And that's one of the fun things about playing Nekusar is that if your opponent gets down any sort of amplifying effect, it makes it hard for you to kind of close it out, which is always pretty interesting. It's going to get down Bloodstained Mire. And if we want to, we can go for Cyclonic Rip. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're a little bit far away from that. You know, let's go for Raider's Wake. That's going to be black. And then 1, 2. And then we tap down Volcanic Island. That way we get down Raider's Wake. That's going to keep us on for Mystical Tutor or Pongify or Go for the Throat, depending on what sort of line of play we want to go for. And then we'll just go and pass the turn to our opponent, kind of force them to draw a few extra cards. One of the main things that we want to do is basically keep Mimeoplasm off any sort of creatures in the graveyard, because if there's no creature cards in the graveyard, the Mimeoplasm have to sit in his little chair in the green room and not come out into the show. So that's definitely something that we are A-okay with. They're going to draw additional card, take some extra damage. And then depending on what they get down for the turn, we'll probably end up going for Mystical Tutor, grabbing one of our wheel effects. That way it really kind of helps us amplify some Nekusar damage and taking advantage of Raider's Wake, which is always good. Okay, we got the whole crew swinging. It's going to be 3-4 and a 2-3. Yeah, let's go ahead and block on Fate Unraveler. I think that's okay. So we block on Fate Unraveler. It's going to be a 3-4. That's going to give us something that we can use with Geist Blast if we want to get rid of that. But if we use Cyclonic Rift, we'll basically be able to just kind of bounce it back into our hand. Okay, opponent's going to go for the Scarab God. Alright, so to get that down, let's go to crack Bloodstained Mire. Let's get this popped out. Be good to grab another red source. We only got one red source. We're going to grab Badlands, have that come into play. Do we want to use Mystical Tutor? You know, let's just go and bounce Fate Raveler back to our hand. Yeah, I'm okay though. Let's go and bounce it back. And that way we don't have to worry about getting out from underneath that draw effect anymore. Okay, draw into Toxic Deluge. And then draw into Arcane Denial. Now, what we can do is, if we set up the turn, so we've got Arcane Denial, that's a counter spell for Mimeoplasm. We go for Toxic Deluge. I think we've got enough to, because we need 1, 4, and then we need 6. So actually we have just enough, mana to go for this. So let's go for Pongify on the Scarab God. Yeah, I like this. So we go for Pongify on the Scarab God. That's going to be a 3-3 monkey token on the battlefield. We'll see if they want to bring that back. They might want to make that a copy of... actually, they're going to bring it back. So let's go and go for Toxic Deluge. That's going to get rid of Druid, it's going to get rid of Hostage Taker, and get rid of the Ape token. And then we can still leave up Arcane Denial to kind of stop whatever's going to happen. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So we got the board cleaned up. We are sitting at 10 life. We're still in a pretty good position. We've got Go for the Throat. We've got Arcane Denial. Our library is pretty much open with Mystical Tutor. And then if we can get some sort of wheel effect on top and use that Geist Blast, then we'll be able to kind of go from there. So let's go and always click OK on that. Now, I did make a couple changes to the deck. Nekusar has been one of my longest decks that I've played for a long time. In fact, if you head over to the playlist, you can see some of my my earlier gameplays with it. But pretty much the core of the deck's always been the same. The only thing that I did change this last time is I got rid of Howling Mine, I got rid of Cammy. I pretty much found that one of the ways to win with this deck is to really whittle away at your opponent's life total, and then really close the game out with Raider's Wake and a wheel effect. And so getting down stuff like Cammy and Howling Mine, that stuff's good. It gets some card draw, but typically it kind of helps them a little bit more than it does. It helps us because they take advantage of that card draw before we can. And so I added Young Pyromancer, added Talrand, just basically kind of like a plan B. You can see we have a ton of instant and sorceries in here, and that allows us to kind of build up a really nice board state. Let's see if they're tapping out for the Mimeoplasm, if he wants to finally come out to the show, and then we'll, as soon as he hits the stage, we'll blast him. All right, opponent's going to go for Birds of Paradise. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's only going to be 4 mana, and that does. Let's see what else they're going for. And they will end up going for Manglehorn. Okay. Destroy target artifact. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we don't have an artifact. We basically just have an enchantment. Yeah, we can survive that. Okay, so they get down Manglehorn. Let's go and go for Mystical Tutor. Yeah, let's go and go for Wheel of Fortune. I like that. We need to get something going with Raider's Wake. Okay. And let's see what we draw into. Draw into Wheel of Fortune. And then let's see what we draw into additional off the other draw. Draw into Imperial Seal. So let's see. We get down Fate Ravel. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to basically cut us off any sort of Wheel of Fortune action. So that's going to be 7. And that's going to be 2. Once they get rid of the 4, that's going to be 8. That's going to be 15 damage that we've dealt to our opponent. I don't think it's going to be a good game just yet. You know, let's just go and get down Fate Unraveled. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. And that way it's going to allow us to go for Wheel of Fortune next turn. That way we get a little bit of card draw going. That's going to be Arcane Denial. We can counter whatever they got going on. If they want to swing in with Manglehorn, they certainly can. But at least get a little bit of extra damage off Nekusar. And let's go and always yield to that. Get these triggers on the stack. And this is what makes this deck so much fun, is I just love getting these triggers going. And Nekusar is one of the first decks that I started to play on Magic Online where I'd get people that would scoop, and I never understood why, because I was like, I'm just playing Commander. And then now that I've gotten into Commander more, obviously I have a channel, I've started to, I get why some people wouldn't enjoy playing against Nekusar. I still remember the first time I played against my buddy in Paper Magic against Nekusar, and we'd both been probably getting into Commander for about 6 months at the time. And there's so much shuffling and card draw that... I could tell my buddy, he was so frustrated because we were playing 1 versus 1 Commander. I could tell that he was so frustrated that he's like, I was like, you want to switch up decks? He's like, yeah, that works. That sounds good. It was kind of very much just, I'm like, yep, okay. Yeah, I don't mind. So that's one of the downsides of the Nekusar. If you think about building it, it's a fun deck to pilot, but you do need to be careful taking into account your player group, because maybe they may not enjoy shuffling and a bunch of card draw, but if you're the one doing it, I don't know, it's a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed it. Let's see what our opponent wants to get down for the turn. Okay, so our opponent's getting some tapping going. Like I mentioned, we do have Arcane... Sorry, I paused for a second. Our opponent was thinking. And so, jumping back into it. Opponent's going to go for Court of Calling for 5. Yeah, we need to Arcane Denial that. That's going to be them completely tapped out. I don't know what the 5's going to be, but we're going to go and counter that. And then that way we can allow us to... kind of close it out. Good game. Yeah. Not sure what that 5 could be. We could leave up Go for the Throat, but whatever sort of enter the battlefield trigger that could be, we don't really want to stick around to see whatever that's going to be. So, if you enjoyed your time at the show tonight, like and subscribe. Thanks, and bye. Welcome to the Crypt of the Scarab God. I hope you're excited. Let's see if Alicia can make our way through the crypt. As far as opening hand goes, yeah, do we want to keep on this one? This is kind of clunky if we don't hit some land drops. This is a lot clunky if we don't hit some land drops. Yeah, let's go and mulligan. I'd like to have some sort of tutor, artifact. Yes, this is beautiful. I like that. Ancient Tomb, Halimar Depths, and yes, we will keep on this one in a heartbeat. I like this a lot better. It's kind of one of those hands where it's just like, yeah, it looks kind of good, but do we want to keep on this one that bad? Let's go and put Swamp on top. Let's go and get down Choked. Yeah, let's go and get that down, because we definitely want to draw into that swamp. So let's go and get Choked down. We have no island or swamp to reveal, so we're just going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. We are playing the Scarab God. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and you scry X, or X the number of zombies you control. Then for a 4-mana activation, exile target creature card from a graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a full-form black zombie. Then, whenever the Scarab God dies, return to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Playing it's Alicia, who smiles at death. She smiles at the thought of that. She thinks it's funny. Let's go ahead and get down Ancient Tomb. Could go for Halimar Depths if we wanted to. Now, if we end up going for Buried Alive, that puts us online pretty quick for a good Scarab God. Or do we want to do some setting up? We can get this down, kind of leave up Arcane Denial. You know what? I really want to hold on to Buried Alive, just to kind of see what our opponent's got going on. Let's do this. Let's just go ahead and get down... Let's just go and get Swamp down for right now, and then that puts us online for Arcane Denial. Let's just go and pass the turn to our opponent. Playing gets Alicia, who smiles at death, first strike, and then whenever she attacks, you may pay combination of white or black. If you do target creature card, oh, bummer. I meant to go for I had F6 pulled up. We can at least go ahead and go for F6. I mean, go for Arcane Denial on Alicia next turn, whenever that does happen. Let's go and go for Halimar Depths. Look at the top 3 cards of our library. Drawn to Animate, which actually works out really well with Buried Alive, so kind of gives us a little bit of a game plan to go for. Life's Finale, Windfall, and Underground River. I want to make the land drop, so let's do this. Let's go for Life's Finale. And we don't know what our opponent has in the hand. We don't necessarily want to help them out super much with Windfall, so let's go and put Windfall on top, and let's go and put Underground River on top of our library too. Let's go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yeah, so they may pay 2 mana if they do. Return target creature card with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, tapped and attacking. So hopefully they make the land drop. We'll go for this Arcane Denial, draw into a few extra cards, and then kind of go from there. Opponent's going to go for Yahini, Undying Partisan. Are we okay with that? That's going to give them a sack outlet, and we're looking at a 2/2. Whenever another creature dies, yeah, I think we're okay. But we can also use Arcane Denial to kind of draw into a few extra cards if we wanted to. They'll draw in an extra card, we're drawn to that Windfall too. Yeah, we're looking at the Scarab God next turn. I like that. Let's go and go for Arcane Denial. I was hoping to go for Alicia, but I'm okay with this one. That'll give us some extra card draw. If we wanted to, we could go for Reanimate, but I like holding on to it at this point right now. And then we draw into Windfall. Let's go and get down Ancient Tomb, and then let's go ahead and tap down for the Scarab God. I like that. Get down the Scarab God, and then we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. Now, with this activation from the Scarab God, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And once we get to 8, that'll put us online for double activations. And the fun thing about the Scarab God is it's not something that we have to do during our turn. It's not something that we can only do, at sorcery speed. This is instant speed activations. So let's say that our opponent does kind of get down a nice board state with Alicia. We can go for Scarab God activations in response to any sort of thing that they're going for and bring it back to our side of the battlefield. So that really kind of helps us push a game plan a little bit quicker than our opponent. And then we'll get the Swiftfoot Boots down onto Alicia. Alright, so we have the Scarab God. We could have gone for an activation, drawn to Life's Finale. Let's go and get down Underground River. And you know what, let's go and go for Buried Alive, because we can set up a really nice Reanimate. I think I like going for that. It's going to be 1, 2. Go for Buried Alive. Let's kind of get this graveyard going. And then let's go for Lord of the Void. I like that. So let's go for Grave Titan. Let's go for Massacre Worm. Let's go for Lord of the Void. That'd be a really nice option to go for. Let's go for Reanimate on Massacre Worm. That way it's at least going to set our opponent back on their commander attacks and allow us to swing in with the Scarab God. Alright, opponent's going to scoop it up on that one, so they're going to send Alicia back to the command zone. We had some good stuff coming out of the graveyard. The game wasn't technically over just yet, but I may kind of throw this over into the scrap bin or splice it on another video like that. But we get down to Massacre Worm. I'm just going to send Alicia back to the command zone. And then following that, we have some Scarab God activations on Grave Titan to get a nice board state going, or going for Lord of the Void, kind of grabbing some of the stuff out of our opponent's deck. So, if you enjoyed that video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Traxos, Scourge of Krog. As far as opening hand goes, yeah, I like it. We're going to keep on this. And we have Karn in the hand. We have Rogue's Passage, Ghost Quarter, Expedition Map. Hopefully we can cash that in for either Mishra's Workshop or get an Ancient Tomb. But other than that, I like it. And also Crystal Vein. We got creepy Crystal Vein guy. He's really happy. And I'll kind of talk about him in just a second. Let's go lead off with Ghost Quarter. Let's get down Expedition Map. There we go. And then anything. Traxos, come back. There we go. Anything else? We're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. We are playing Traxos. Trample. Whenever Traxos enters the battlefield, Traxos does not untap during your next untap step. Then, whenever you cast a historic spell, Traxos enters the battlefield tapped and doesn't untap. And then, whenever you cast a historic spell, untap Traxos. If you are keeping score at home, a historic spell is an artifact, legendary, or a saga, if you want to mark that down. Let's go and get down Rogue's Passage. Yeah, I like that. That'll work. Get on Rogue's Passage, so that'll put us online for Expedition Map, and then we can get down a Karn. Pretty quick. I like that. Getting some sort of card advantage is really going to help us against Allura. So let's go and kick it over there to Mr. Lazy Boy himself. We were playing against Allura. In fact, he has a Lazy Boy Emporium. If you want to check it out, he runs sales on chairs from time to time. Allura, at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 2 life. Then, whenever you gain a life, you may pay 1. If you do draw a card and each opponent loses 1 life, then at the beginning of your upkeep, if Allura is in the command zone, you gain 2 life. Put us off to a pretty good start with Soul Ring and then Bloodstained Mire. But we'll go for the Expedition map crack and go for Ancient Tomb, lead off with a quick card. Hopefully our opponent taps out for something this turn. That way we don't have to worry about some sort of counterspell. But if they do have a counterspell, it won't be the end of the world. We can still get some card advantage going with Staff of Nin. Okay, opponent's gonna go for the Bloodstained Mire crack, and man, I love playing Traxos. Traxos is one of my favorite commander decks. I'd never built like a completely colorless deck, and you know we could definitely build some sort of Eldrazi deck. That's always kind of interested me to build one, but you know, just getting down on Eldrazi, I don't know. I've never enjoyed winning that way. Well, maybe one of the new Eldrazi I could probably do is one of the new Eldrazi, but building a Traxos deck, I don't know. It's just really fun. You have these moments where you get down Traxos as a 7/7 with trample. That's going to be a 3-turn clock with dealing commander damage to your opponent. There's other times where you just get some really nice value board states established. Get down something like Karn. And they kind of go from there. Now, our opponent did crack a Bloodstained Mire to get down to Underground Sea, but it's not really going to do anything with it, just pass the turn, so might be running into a counterspell. Let's go and go for Expedition map. And we could, if we wanted to, we could go for Mishra's, where are you? Mishra's Workshop, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can get down Staff of Domination, which is going to be 3 mana, and then start working towards the Staff of Nin. You know, let's go and go for Ancient Tomb. If they've got a counterspell, they've got it. We'll use it on Karn. Or if we want to, we can simply just tap out for Traxos, too. That's another thing that we can go for. And then once we get down Traxos and try to cast Karn, that's going to allow... Yeah, let's do that. I like that a little bit better. Let's get down Traxos next turn. We can get down Ancient Tomb, and that'll allow us to, you know, try to tap out for Karn next to the following turn and still give us an untapped 7/7 once we get that untapped trigger. Okay, so let's go and get down Ancient Tomb. Let's go and tap down for Traxos. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And I do apologize if I kind of pause randomly in my commentary. Our opponent's kind of taking weird, like away from computer pauses. So it's just kind of one of those where I don't want to ramble on and on, but at the same time I want to try to play the game out. So if there's a weird kind of pause in my commentary for some reason, I'm just waiting for our opponent to yield to something or kick it back over to their turn. Alright, so opponent's going to go for Cyclonic Rift, bouncing Traxos back to our hand. That's not too bad. We're looking at Traxos again next turn, and we can also go for Relic of Progenitus. Once we get down Relic of Progenitus, it's definitely good to have it in a deck like this where our opponent's got a ton of control stuff. Getting rid of the graveyard is always a nice option to go for. And depending on what they tap out for, we definitely want Karn to stick. So if we get down Karn and get some good card advantage going, we'll definitely kind of tap out. Oh, opponent's going to go for Jace. Okay. Well, we'll get our own Karn going if they're going to get down Jace. Now, I meant to take a screenshot of our deck list. We'll see if we have Pithing Needle in here. I'm not entirely sure if we have Pithing Needle. At the very least, we might have Sorcerer's Spyglass. That'll at least allow us to kind of put a little bit of pressure on, you know, letting them not be able to activate Jace. Alright, so we draw into Duplicate. Let's go ahead and get down Darksteel Citadel. Let's go ahead and go for Karn. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go and plus up on Karn, reveal the top 2 cards of our library, see how our opponent wants to do this. And the reveal is going to be Treasure Keeper and Mind Stone. Okay, Treasure Keeper is going to go in our hand, Mind Stone is going to be exiled. And let's go and put that pile over here. And then let's go and go for Relic of Progenitus, getting that down. Let's go and target player, exiles a card from their graveyard. At least go and force them to get rid of that Bloodstained Mire. And then anything else, we're going to kick it back over to our turn. But yeah, I'll kick it over to our opponent. So what we can do at this point, we still have Traxos in the hand. It's not going to have haste at this point right now. But we still have access to at least 2 more mana next turn. So depending on what we kind of hit off of card, we can certainly get that going. Now, if we want to start going for that -2 ability off of card to get a few artifact creatures on the battlefield, it's going to get +1/+1 for each artifact that we control. We are sitting at 2 total artifacts at this point right now, especially with Relic Progenitus and Darksteel Citadel. The only downside to us going for the -2 on Karn is that our opponent can go for that -1, bouncing it back to our hand, which doesn't really sound that enticing. So we'll see what kind of what's in store for us. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They do have 6 total mana, which actually, if they want to get down to Loro, they certainly can. If they end up going for that, we might end up going for Duplicate, which, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6 off the land drop. So we might end up going for Duplicate, depending on what sort of creature they do get down. Okay, opponent's going to go for Vindicate, destroying Karn. Now, since they did go for Vindicate and they're going to exile, that's not too bad that they went for a Rest in Peace, but it's still... Still not a lot of fun, but what we can do is end up getting down Staff of Nin, and that's going to allow us to start putting some, dealing some direct damage to Jace. Start bonking him on the head. It's going to get down Crystal Vein. It's going to go for Staff of Domination. Staff of Nin. Got too many staffs in the hand. And it's going to go for Staff of Nin, dealing 1 damage to Jace. So we're going to bonk him on the head. And then pass the turn. I don't know, I just love like little incremental damage, like hitting Jace in the head. So we're going to go for that -1, or that 1 damage with Staff of Nin. Now, if we do end up getting down Staff of Domination, that's another way that we can get some card draw going with that 5 mana. But at this point right now, I wouldn't mind getting some sort of pressure on Jace from between Staff of Nin and getting down maybe something like Treasure Keeper or Duplicate. We do have at least, if we end up sacrificing Crystal Vein, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll have access to 7 total mana. So if we do at least hit the land drop for next turn, that'll be Traxos and Treasure Keeper, which will kind of force them to get rid of at least one of them before we can swing in with Jace. Now, our opponent's going to go for Vault, so we're going to let them kind of cycle through this Vault to see how much life total they end up paying. Okay, so they'd go all the way down to 24 off of that Vault. And I just want to say this, Vault is it's one of my favorite cards recently. Not recently, but I've been playing it for a while, but it's definitely one of my favorite commander cards it's just such a good commander card. You know, you can pay that 1 life to look at the top 5 cards of your library to kind of find that certain pile. Let's say that you have certain times where you want to dig for a certain card. You can certainly use it as a tutor effect, but there's also going to be other times. Helm of Obedience. Okay. All right, so opponent's going to get it on this one. Good game to our opponent. Basically, what's going to happen is with Helm of Obedience and Rest in Peace on the battlefield, we have no card draw, and that's going to make us... let's go for Relic first. We're going to go out on our tomes. We have no card to draw. We're going to lose the game. So good game to our opponent. So they're basically going to combo off with Helm of Obedience. So, and then, yeah, they want to show us our hand. Well, cool. Good game, buddy. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.